Africa Enlightenment Center, Religious, Political, and Social Enlightenment.
The truth of Islam is validated through war. Civilization and savagery are fundamentally at war. We're in a war between savages and civilization. Everything else is a detail. Some of us woke up to that war when planes crashed into skyscrapers. Others when we saw beheading videos spread across social media. What we saw in Israel, Hamas terrorists raping, mutilating, and defiling corpses, is another bloody wake-up call. There will be many others. Beyond the politics and the geopolitics, we still haven't come to terms with what we're fighting. The barbarism of murdering women and children, taking them as hostages, and posting photos of their dead bodies to social media is not a byproduct of Islamic warfare. It's the whole point. Cruelty, beheading, burning to death, torturing, and mutilating are the essence of Islam. This is how Islamic warfare was practiced beginning with Muhammad for over 1,000 years. It's how it continues to be practiced, whether it's ISIS fighting other Muslims, Azerbaijani troops killing Armenians, Hamas attacking Israelis, or Islamic terrorists plotting carnage in Western nations. Islam was born out of a war by barbarians against the civilized societies of Persia and Byzantium. Despite academic myth-making, its vision never extended beyond rape and slavery. Its empires fell into power struggles, beginning with Sunnis and Shiites, and its cultural and scientific accomplishments were all looted from conquered peoples. When civilization finally toppled the Ottoman Empire, with some help from its internal barbarians, the cycle began again. Israel is just one front in a global war between savages and civilization. The question is, how do civilized societies confront savagery? Do we blame ourselves for having made the savages what they are through our capitalism and colonialism, even though they have behaved this way long before modern Western civilization amounted to anything? Or do we set forth to re-educate them, to build modern nations for them, and teach them to become civilized? We have sent forth our sons and daughters to make peace with them and to educate them. Our societies opened themselves to embrace and celebrate the virtues of the noble savage. When we realized that we could not coexist with savages, we tried to remake our societies to serve them. All of that has been tried, and civilization is still drowning in the violence of the savages. Civilized people develop complex mechanism of exchange, but savages see no reason why they shouldn't take something or someone if they feel they are too weak to defend themselves. No amount of lectures will ever convince a savage that anything other than clan relations should prevent him from stealing a car or raping a woman if there will be no clear consequences. That's because savages, unlike civilized people, have no conscience and therefore no soul. Islam is not a religion of the soul, but entirely of power. From its genocidal chant, Allahu Akbar, that proclaims the physical supremacy of Allah to all other religions through the military victories of its followers, everything is reduced to conquest. The truth of Islam is validated through war. When jihadists conquer and rape non-Muslims, they are proving that Islam is true and that the religions of the conquered are false. That's why ISIS jihadists would tell the Yazidi girls they were raping that rape brought them closer to Allah. Civilizations have become too sophisticated and decadent to understand such concepts. When faced with barbarism, they go down a dialectic rabbit hole that explains the savages in terms of how civilized people interacted with them. Did they hurt their feelings, overthrow their government, or draw mean cartoons? Did capitalism leave them adrift in the world economy? How did we fail to integrate the newest generation of immigrants with all the welfare checks? These sophomoric sessions are pointless. A hyena doesn't eat your chickens because you failed to integrate it. That's just what hyenas do. Man, at the base state, is a predator, and savages strive to be the alpha predators. When civilizations spend too much time thinking, they forget that one reason they came into being was to build something better than a state of savagery. Decadent civilizations internalize all the criticism and their peoples endlessly quarrel and think that the worst possible thing in the world are the ones that exist among their own people. Savages remind us otherwise. Civilization that spent enough time allowing savages to hang around will fall. Tolerating savages is actually a sign that a civilization has turned decadent. Welcoming and advocating for savages means that the end is near. When civilization forget what the difference between themselves and the savages are, they lose their sense of right and wrong, and they can no longer explain why savagery is wrong. When faced with the worst imaginable crimes, they can still equivocate a case for the criminals. That is why civilization has to defeat savagery without equivocation, apologies, or sympathy, not only to win, but to revive its own soul. Negotiations and laws of war are for peer civilizations. A civilization that does not understand all this will learn it the hard way. No form of war is more sacred than that of civilization against savagery. It is these wars that made Christianity and Judaism, not to mention all the ideas of Western civilization, as well as those of Asia and India, possible. This is once again the defining struggle of our age. Either civilization or the savages will prevail. Any attempt at a middle ground is suicide.